Hey friends, how's it going? Today we are visiting Animal Kingdom at Disney World, so this should be fun.
Hello everybody, my name is Ashley. I'll be your safari driver for today. Now I do ask that you all remain seated and keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times. You all are more than welcome to take pictures and videos, but turn those cameras on sport or live mode. That way your pictures don't turn out blurry. Keep a tight hold on any loose items. Anything that's dropped off the side of the truck can probably be retrieved, but I can't promise what condition it will be returned to you in. If you do happen to drop something off the side, no worries, just let me know. All right, we are in the Ituri Forest. So over here on our right, that is an okapi, and up here on our left, these are the bongo. I'm going to talk about these bongo first. So both the male and the female have those horns. They are heavy and angled backwards, and those allow them to easily maneuver through the tangled underbrush at full speed. They also like a lot of salt in their diet. So when trees get hit by lightning, they'll lick the burnt parts in order to get that salt and other important minerals that they need in their diet. The okapi, people often think that it's related to the zebra, but it's actually related to the giraffe, and we can tell that by the shape of its skull. So the reason the okapi have the stripes on their legs is because that mimics the shadows the sunlight makes as it shines through the bushes, and that helps them break up their silhouette. They also have scent glands in their hooves, so they can leave a trail for the other okapi to follow when they travel. Now up there on the right, on top of that hill, those are the greater kudu. We can tell that all three of them are female, and that's because they don't have horns. The males who do, those can grow up to 6 feet in length from head to tip. The greater kudu can't run very quickly, and they don't have the best stamina, so they rely on their ability to jump, which they can do incredibly well, up to 8 feet high. So when they need to, they'll jump over bushes and small trees. And over here on our left, we see a black and white bird. That is the saddle-billed stork. So they have a wingspan of approximately 9 feet, which is about the same width as the canopy that's above your head. And they don't really vocalize, so in order to communicate with one another, they will rattle their bills. And usually with birds, it's obvious which ones are the males because they're super bright colors. But the only discernible difference between male and female saddle-billed stork is their eye color, and it's actually the females who have bright yellow eyes, while the males have brown eyes. Now all of the animals that live in the Ituri Forest use the plants as food and shelter, so it's important that we use paper products responsibly and recycle when we can. That helps ensure their habitats stay balanced. Now we're here in the Safi River. This is an aquatic ecosystem. It's home to our friends, the pink-backed pelicans. They're the larger white bird over here on our right. And over here on our left, behind that island, those are the Nile hippopotamus. Now the hippos are nocturnal. Just make sure remaining fully seated. Please don't lift our children up. Have him fully seated. Thank you. So they are nocturnal. They spend the majority of their time during the day in the water so they don't overheat. They can fully submerge themselves for up to 8 minutes. And contrary to popular belief, they can't actually swim. They just walk along the river floor. And the pink-backed pelicans, they get their name because during mating season, the feathers on their backs turn pink. The males will also pick out a stick and present it to a female. If she accepts, they will mate for life. They also use that stick as the first piece in the nest that they built together. It's very romantic. Now over here on our left, just make sure remaining fully seated the entire time. On our left, those are the Nile crocodiles. They have one of the most powerful jaws in the animal kingdom. But despite that incredibly powerful jaw, the mothers will take their eggs and put them in their mouths, then roll them around. That helps their eggs hatch. They usually only eat 1 meal per week, but when they do, they consume nearly half of their body weight in that single meal. So in one sitting, they'll eat approximately 250 pounds worth of food. They can also grow about as long as a giraffe is tall. And our next stop is the savannah. As we come around this turn on our right-hand side, we're going to see a huge tree. That is the baobab tree. So the baobab tree's nickname is the tree of life. It gets that nickname because during the rainy seasons, it harvests all that water and stores it in its trunk. So during the dry seasons, when the animals are searching for water, they can go up to the baobab tree, rip off a piece of the bark, and get a drink that way. They also remain leafless for approximately 9 months out of the year, and that's so the leaves don't take up too much of the water. The savannah is home to some of our more recognizable animals, like elephants, giraffes, and zebras. But it's also home to some of our quickest animals, like cheetahs and multiple different kinds of antelopes. We can see that the savannah is a pretty wide open area. That's what allows those quick animals to reach their top speeds. Okay, over here on our left, they're kind of between their den and these trees over here on the right-hand side of their den. These are African painted dogs. So they have both a male and a female alpha. Just make sure we're remaining fully seated. They have both a male and a female alpha. The female is their primary alpha. And they're some of the most effective hunters in Africa. They have about an 80% success rate. Now over here, those are the sable antelope along with the Hartman's mountain zebra. So the sable antelope, they are the emblem here at the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. They were chosen as the emblem because they're very well known for never backing down, regardless of what they're faced with. So they stand up for themselves, just like we stand up for the animals that we have here on the reserve. They also have both a male and a female alpha. The male is their primary alpha, but the female is the one who dictates the movement of their group. And they have horns that arch back towards their backs. That's for protection. The Hartman's mountain zebras, there is the age-old question. Is a zebra black with white stripes or white with black stripes? Well, we can answer that question by looking at the color of their noses. The Hartman's mountain zebra specifically has a black nose, so that means they are black with white stripes. Their striping patterns are completely unique to them, just like our fingerprints are unique to us. And when their calves are born, they memorize the striping pattern of their mother. That way they can pick her out in a group, and they will only nurse from her. Now on our right, we're going to see two different kinds of animals. Way up on top of the hill, we're going to see the Ankole cattle, but kind of between these two patches of tall grass, we're going to see some small light brown antelopes laying down over here. Those are the springbok. So they can reach speeds anywhere between 50 and 60 miles per hour, which puts them in the top 10 quickest animals in the animal kingdom. They get their name Springbok from their ability to spring upwards 6 feet and out 13 feet. Now up here on our left, we're going to see a tower of giraffes. That's a group of them. They are one of the tallest animals. They can grow anywhere between 18 and 20 feet tall. They usually only sleep for about 30 minutes a day, which is not enough sleep for me, but it is enough sleep for the giraffe. And they don't sleep laying down. They will stay standing or they'll kneel. Another way that we know the okapi is related to the giraffe. They both have this thing called a prehensile tongue, and that just means they can reach their tongues out super far, wrap them around branches like a finger, and pull the leaves off so they can eat. But their tongues are so long that they both have the ability to lick their own eyeballs. Okay, now over here on our right, we're gonna see an African elephant. And over here on our left, kind of at the base of these small trees, they're sitting on those rocks. There are some mandrills, they're just a little bit hard to see. I'm going to talk about the mandrill over here on the left first. So they are one of the largest monkeys. They have pouches in their cheeks so they can keep some snacks handy. And the males are the ones that have the red and blue colors on their bodies, primarily their backside and their noses. And those colors get brighter the more excited they get. Now the African elephant, we can probably assume that he's a male, and that's because male African elephants will either remain completely alone or they'll stay in loose groups with other males called a bachelor group. The females love to be in groups, especially with their young. They're called a family group. Elephants have incredibly sensitive skin, so they'll take dirt, mud, and sand and throw it on their bodies. That acts as a natural sunscreen. And it's actually a common misconception that elephants drink through their trunks like a straw. So it does kind of work that way, but it works more so like when you dip a straw into a glass of water, put your finger over the end, pull it out, the water stays in. So elephants can suck water up into their trunks and hold it in there, then just pour it into their mouths and drink that way. Their trunks hold about 5 gallons of water, and they drink about 42 gallons of water in a day. The savanna is a really fragile ecosystem that often requires its animals to migrate in search of food and water. But something that forced specifically the mandrill and the African elephants to migrate was when their habitats were destroyed by people mining for a metal called coltan, which is used to make electronics. So it's super important that we recycle our electronics whenever we're finished with them. When the elephants were migrating in search of a new place to call home, they found themselves in the middle of some farmland in Kenya, but unfortunately, they had trampled through all of their farmers' crops. So in an effort to make sure this didn't happen again, researchers here discovered that elephants are afraid of the buzzing sound that bees make. So they founded the Elephants and the Bees Project, which allowed them to build beehive fences. So they put these fences up around the farmers' crops, and that told the elephants where they could not go in a safe way. Once the crops grew back, the farmers could sell and consume them, but they could also sell and consume the honey that the honeybees made. This is excellent for the honeybee population as well. So it's a really good look at conservation with things that normally would not have a single thing to do with one another, but they work together so seamlessly. And one more time, just make sure we're fully seated. Thank you. So these two antelopes that are coming up over here are the eland. And they are one of the largest antelopes. So at their shoulder, which is like that first hump that's on their back, they stand 6 feet tall. And from a standing position, they don't even need a run and go. They can jump 6 to 8 feet off of the ground. And you might also notice this like extra flap of skin that's around their neck. So that's a dewlap. And if you've ever seen like a basset hound or a bloodhound, that extra skin around their neck is also a dewlap. So it's the exact same thing. And it holds like a circulatory system in it, and it just helps them keep cool. Get a really, really good close look at them. They're one of my favorites. So those are the eland. Getting another good look at the African elephants as well over here on our left.
Oh,
And on our right, I mentioned them earlier, but we can see them a little bit better. Those are the Ankole cattle. And as we come around, not this next turn, but the next turn, we're going to see them even better. But the Ankole cattle, both the male and the female, have those incredibly large horns, and those actually help keep them cool. So they have a circulatory system that runs through them, which allows them to evenly distribute their body heat, just like the elands do lap, and give up any excess heat they might be holding. And they are one of 2 of the domesticated animals that we have here on the reserve. On our left, these are the greater flamingo. They're the lightest pink of all of the flamingo. When their chicks hatch, they're not actually pink. They are gray and fluffy. And you might be able to pick out a couple of the younger ones among the flamboyant. It's a group of flamingos. They're getting a little harder to pick out now because they're not fluffy at all anymore, but they are still a little bit gray. And that's because they don't fully turn pink until they're about 2 years old. And they get that pink color from the beta carotene that's in the brine shrimp that they eat. Alright, we're traveling deeper into the savannah. And over here on our left, as we pull forwards just a little bit, we're going to see some white rhinos. Looks like we're going to see the ostrich as well. So the white rhinos, obviously they're not actually white, they are gray. We call them white rhinos because of our misinterpretation of the Afrikaans word fight, which means wide. That's talking about the shape of their mouths. It's flat and rectangular, and that shape helps them graze. They weigh anywhere between 4,000 and 5,000 pounds, and their horns are made out of keratin, like our hair and fingernails. We're going to get a really close look at this ostrich over here on our left. They are one of the largest birds. They are flightless, but they can run up to 40 miles per hour. They can live up to 40 years of age, and their eggs take 40 days to hatch. They're also known as the camel bird, and that's because of their long eyelashes, and they can go a pretty long time without needing to drink water. Okay, let's see if we can spot some cheetahs. Yeah, good eye, y'all. Cheetahs can be really difficult to see because of their spots. They allow them to blend in with their surroundings. They are another one of the quickest animals. They can reach speeds up to 70 miles per hour, but they can go 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. While they are quick, they actually don't maintain that speed for long. It's usually just a couple hundred yards. And they are one of the only big cats that are daytime hunters. So they have these black lines on their faces that help redirect the glare of the sun out of their eyes so they can see better. Now these rocks are called kopie. They kind of jut up out of the savanna. There are animals that like to lay on top of the kopie. They do heat up throughout the day sometimes, so those animals will find a little bit of a cooler place to go for a little while, but there are other animals that still like to hang out around the kopie. Oh, and speaking of big cats, up there on our left, we're seeing a female lion. They are sleepy creatures. They will sleep anywhere between 16 and 20 hours in a single day. The females are actually the ones who go out and do the hunting, while the males stay at home and take care of their cubs. And you probably know more Swahili than you think that you do, because lion in Swahili is Simba. And I think we're going to see some white rhinos again up ahead. They're hanging out way back in there over on the right-hand side. Now, a long time ago, people thought that the rhino's horns had medicinal properties, and that's why they were being poached. When we found out that their horns are just made out of keratin, like our hair and fingernails, we thought the poaching would stop. Unfortunately, it hasn't, and they're still being hunted today for their horns, but as trophies, which is really just a very silly reason. All right, now we're headed up to the warden's post. The warden lives on the outer edge of the reserve, and he and his team likes to care for Nigerian dwarf goats. They are the second domesticated animal that we have here on the reserve, along with the Ankole cattle that we saw earlier. While these goats may look small, they are fully grown. They love to play and roughhouse, which helps them not only determine dominance in their herd, but it also helps them mature physically. And they do have round bellies, that's normal. They are ruminants, just like cattle. So that means they have multiple chambers in their stomachs, and that helps them digest the food they eat. It's important that we note the relationship between the warden and the goats. This shows us that humans and animals can coexist peacefully. So we can provide animals like the goats with food and shelter, and in return, the goats supply us with milk that could be sold, consumed, or turned into cheese. It's also important that we do small but impactful things in our day-to-day lives, like shop with reusable shopping bags, use reusable water bottles and straws, recycle our one-time use plastics, aluminum cans, and electronics, like we talked about earlier. Also, remember to shut the water off while you're brushing your teeth, and if you're running water, waiting for it to heat up, stick a container under there, collect it, and then use that to water your plants. Doing things like this helps ensure that our animals and our planet stay safe and stick around as long as possible for us and our future generations to enjoy. Now, if you all would like to see more animals today, I highly recommend that you check out Gorilla Falls. It is an easy hike, and you can see some real live gorillas. Super interesting. You can also hop on a train and head over to Rafiki's Planet Watch. There you can learn more about conservation and get an up-close and personal look at some animals like the Nigerian dwarf goats. You can actually pet them if you want to. You can also see our vet clinic where our animals get their checkups. And if you all go through Gorilla Falls and you enjoy it, definitely head over to Aisha. Over near Kali River Rapids is the Maharaja Jungle Trek. So it's a very similar go-at-your-own-pace walking trail, just like Gorilla Falls. And you can see bats, water buffalo, Komodo dragons, and tigers. But friends, I do want to leave you all with one last Swahili phrase, and that is kwaherini, which means to go well with hope and intention that we will meet again. So kwaherini, friends, go well, go wild, make a difference out there. Again, my name is Ashley. Thank you all so much for joining us today. And please watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs as the doors on your right are sliding open.